Lithia Bay is a city divided. Right now, the downtown is fractured, split in two by a highway that creates a massive dead zone right in the center. We have skyscrapers rising up, but absolutely zero transit to move the people inside them. So today, we're going to transform that highway barrier into a proper city avenue, stitch our fractured grids back together, construct a custom tram spine from scratch, and fill in the missing middle with high-density life. Let's jump in. I've let a bit of time to simulate, and during that time, we had 3 forest fires and 4 tornadoes. For the most part, it was all pretty tame. There wasn't any lasting damage except for these houses over here, but I'm sure their insurance will cover it. Although given the frequency of natural disasters in Lithia Bay, I wouldn't even want to imagine what their premiums look like. Anyways, today we've got a bunch of transit to implement. The main focus is going to be on trams. There's something interesting that I want to try. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I'll explain all of that soon. Before we can work on trams, I need to change how I think about this area. Right now, these feel like 2 different cities or districts. They don't feel very connected or very cohesive. So the first fix we need to make is upgrading this into a 4-lane road. And we're going to make sure that we have grass on both sides. That way people don't park. And that's a great start, but we still need to connect these grids into each other. Looking at the terrain, we're going to need to use constant slope. There was a small part of me that wanted to tunnel underneath, but given the terrain differences, it's just really not justified here. So I'm going to start by curving these 2 roads into each other. And now we're just going to quickly build out a small grid within this radius. With that in place, it gives me a rough idea of how these 2 areas are going to come together. This is going to be primarily high density, and just looking at it, I think ideally the most dense buildings are going to be concentrated somewhere within this center, and that's important because it helps us plan for transit. There is one thing that I want to do, and I am cringing just thinking about it. I'm going to grab this building, and I'm going to relocate it to over here. That's because when I initially placed this building, I had a slightly different vision for how this is going to turn out. And now that we have all of this in place, that vision has changed. And honestly, I think I was just trying to respect the topography a little bit too much. Let's delete all of this stuff here. We're also going to move these parking garages. So in Move It, we'll select Marquee. We're going to disable everything except for trees. Now we'll move these out of the way. And now we're going to filter for buildings and decals. And this is going to look a little bit crazy. Now that we have all of this, let's just move it right here for now. And then I'll worry about how this looks later on. Right now, we have one more thing to adjust. So we're going to delete and replace this highway right here, but only from the hospital to this section down here. So first, let's use Road Builder. And there's 3 things we're going to adjust. First, let's add a median. Then we'll drop down the shoulder width to 1 meter. And lastly, let's drop down the lane width to 3 meters. We'll call this a 4-lane 2-way expressway, and we'll drop the speed limit all the way down to 60 kilometers an hour. We're going to say it supports zoning, utilities, and we'll uncheck this one. And during detailing, I'm going to go through and add some trees alongside this median. That way it feels a bit nicer. And I'm thinking once we expand down to the shore, that's when we're going to add sidewalks. For now, we're going to keep this fairly tame. But the main reason we're adjusting this road in the first place is because we're going to create a line from the hospital to this section down here, and it's going to ping back and forth. We're going to be using these tram assets as well, and they need roughly about 6 units of space to fit in here. And we're also going to throw down some zoning on Lake Street, which means we're probably going to need about 10 units of separation between Lake Street and Wood Highway. So I'm going to quickly get all of that adjusted. Now this is a really big improvement, and we're almost ready to start planning some of our tram lines. There's one more thing that I need to do. Let's slap down this tram depot right here, and then we're immediately going to delete it because I like wasting money for some reason. No, what that actually does is unlock all of these tram assets right here, which is really what I care about. I like to get the routes in first because then I can plan where my tram depot is going to go based on the routes. One of the big goals is to always minimize deadheading, which is essentially just the time the vehicle is moving without passengers. So the more central a tram depot is within your lines and city, the more efficient it is. Anyways, I want to start by placing a few of these tram stations, and we're going to have 2 of these loop stations. Our first one will go right here. We'll have just a bit of setback from the road, and then our second loop station is going to happen right over here. Again, we're going to have a bit of setback from the road. Let's go 3 units. And now we have the parallel station and the junction station. I'm not entirely sure what their differences are, aside from where they snap. So it seems like this one snaps directly to the road, where the tram junction station actually connects in. Which means the best fit for us will probably be the parallel station. And we're going to want 3 of these. So we want one really close to all of our high density. Then we want one that's a bit closer to our government district. Then for our last one, we want it to be somewhere around here. That way it can serve all of these people. Okay, that's looking pretty good. What I want to do is I want to center all of these tracks directly in the middle. That way we don't deviate from the middle too heavily. Now the 2 loop stations need utilities, so we're just going to use a pedestrian road to provide that. And we definitely do not want to connect into our highway. And then we definitely do not need lights. And it looks like there's some really bad things going on here. Let's see if we can fix that with Move It. Okay, it seems like all I can do is make it worse. Thankfully, we have these vanilla asphalt decals, so we can just place them directly over these little holes, and for the most part, it looks better. What I'm thinking this might actually be is the terrain from the retaining wall. So instead, what if we pull this terrain all the way over? That's looking good. Let's do the exact same thing for the other loop station. Now I want to go through and connect all of these tram stations with this double tram track, and our goal is to stay directly in the middle. That way we don't mess with any future zoning. The only thing that scares me a little bit is how short the length is from this road. And we can see that it immediately puts a light on. Let's remove that and the crosswalks. And then because the tracks in the tram loop are a one-way, we'll grab our one-way tram track, we'll snap that directly to that side, and we'll do the exact same thing on this side. Okay, that's looking pretty good so far. I think I did pretty well staying in the middle. We're gonna do the exact same thing on this side. We'll just use our one-way tram track to center ourselves in the middle, and then we'll connect these 2 in. It's a very direct track. Really, the goal is to facilitate movement between Lithia Sands, all the way to our high density, down to the government offices, and finally the hospital. To help visualize the route, I'm going to use our tram line tool, and I'm going to add in the route right now. So let's say our first stop is here, and we're going to follow along the right side. And then we're just going to do the opposite movement on the left. All right, there we go. There's our first route. Let's set the name. We'll call this line 1 Main Street. I have tried to change the name of this street like 20 times, but it keeps changing. So I'm just going to pretend in my head that this is Main Street. We're going to set the ticket price all the way down to $1, and we'll keep the color pink for now. We won't touch the vehicles yet because we don't even have any. Okay, so now we have this bottom half covered, but I also want a route for the top half. I have an interesting idea, and I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I definitely want to try it out. So let's get rid of these trees right here. And now let's grab our double tram track and we'll snap that directly in the middle. And now I want to use our one-way track to snap onto this and then make a really nice smooth sweeping connection into here. Okay, that doesn't seem to work, so instead, what if we just use our double tram track and send that directly in? And for some reason, it's happy with that, but it doesn't want to allow us to use one-ways. Now let's do the exact same thing for this station over here. So the reason why I want this is because we're going to send a track alongside this road. And what I want to do is provide the absolute best opportunity for transfers. And so this loop right here will allow the top route to come down, cross the road, enter the loop, and then loop back around. Or at least it would, but I forgot to add in the track that allows that loop to happen. So we'll add the one-way there. And then once we get to our other loop station, we'll add the one-way as well. For the route that's going to go alongside the top, initially what I wanted to do was to upgrade this road into a 6-lane, and then I wanted to add tram tracks directly in the middle, but if I'm being honest, that looks insane. The road is just so massive, it feels so out of place with this entire area, and now imagine doing that all the way down to this road. I just genuinely can't see a world where that looks nice. So let's scrap that idea. And what we'll do instead is send this track alongside the top of this hill. Let's start by getting rid of all of these trees because we need to be able to see what we're doing. And now we're going to have to do a bit of terraforming here to make sure this works. So we're going to need a flat spot here. We're going to take our brush size down a bit. We'll use the slope terrain tool and set our top height to be here. And we're going to be making our way from this road. So we should probably flatten out a section over here first. And now we can just slope all the way up. Now let's add in our tracks. And then we're gonna have a stop somewhere around our train station, let's say right here for now. We'll come back and fix this. One of the key things that I wanna make sure we're doing with this track is stopping at our bus station, which is right here. This is gonna be a really dense area, so we wanna maximize any transfer opportunities at all. So the first thing that we need to do is bridge over this road right here. We'll turn snap to guidelines on, and then let's set our height to roughly 8.75. We'll change the segment from ground to bridge. And I think that looks really good. Let's see what our height is once we drop down. Negative 20%, that's not gonna cut it. Let's break the node somewhere around here. And that's still not ideal, but I'm gonna take it because if I don't, this will never happen. I'm gonna swap this to be a ground segment, that way we're building up rather than building an expensive bridge. Now we're gonna continue our bridge over. Then before we continue this, let's pump the brakes here for a second because we need to delete this entire park. Although I guess it was really more of a path, I don't even know if you could call that a park. Now let's add in our pedestrian street. We'll snap directly to the side of our bus station. And then we'll send a direct connection into this road. These stoplights are starting to drive me a bit crazy. Now we'll grab our tram station and let's place that one right here. Now all of this is looking really good. You'll be able to get off the tram, go directly into the bus station, and the bus station can take you somewhere else. All we have left to do is connect these two tracks into each other. Now we're going to cross the street here and we're going to connect into this road. And this is when we're going to stop going alongside the road and instead we're going to go directly on it. And that's going to help us serve this denser area here, but it's also going to make our connection down here much easier. So we'll upgrade this road with trams, and we'll also upgrade this 4-lane. One thing I want to check is what does this road look like? And yeah, that only gives us 1 lane with the trams in the middle. Either our trams do really well, and we don't need the extra lane, or what we do is upgrade it to remove the median, and then our trams and our cars would run in the same routes. Now, in my opinion, the ideal state is to have the trams have their own dedicated section. That way they're not getting backed up by traffic. But I want to do everything I can to avoid this 6-lane road. So if traffic gets too bunched up here, then we'll make them mingle. If not, great, love it, perfect. Now we're finally starting to approach City Hall. And initially I had thought about turning this into a pedestrian road with trams in the middle. But there's really one big challenge with that, and when we look at this road, we can see it. This road is doing a really important job. Right now, it's carrying all of the traffic from point A to point B. The only other road doing something similar to this would be Lake Street. So by removing car access from this middle road, we're potentially creating a really big bottleneck. Plus, there's no easy movement through here aside from this road. So instead, let's upgrade it with double tram tracks, and then we're going to remove the bus lanes, And this is the best of both worlds in my opinion. Now let's also get this upgraded. I want to snap to the zone grid because we're going to go about 4 units out. And now we want to make a direct connection into this tram line. Let's soften up this curve a tiny bit. It wasn't a big change, but anything to help the movement be a bit more fluid, I think that's a win. Now what we're going to do is connect into this track down here. We're going to maintain that 4 units of separation. That way, if we want, we can throw down some zoning on this road in the future. Alright, now let's use our tram line tool and we'll get this route in place too. I'm honestly not even sure if this can support 2 routes. I'm hoping that it can though. So we'll start here because this is our transfer opportunity. We'll make our stop at the train station, and then we'll make another stop right here at our bus station. Now we just need to make one more stop alongside here. And then last but not least, we're just going to connect directly in, and it seems like we're getting pathfinding failed. So we got to diagnose where the issue is. And it must be this point right here. And I was able to fix it just by redrawing this segment right here. There's 2 more stops that I want to add in. We'll have one directly in front of our city hall. And then because this is our city hall, I think it's important that we make this stop just a bit fancier than the other ones. So let's place 2 bus stops right here. And then using Move It, we're just going to place these directly in front of the stop. It's nothing crazy, but I think it just adds a little bit of character for our city hall. And then I'd like one more stop, and we're going to make that alongside this road. Let's do it right here. And the last thing that I want to do for this line is give the people a way down and a way up. Because right now, it's just not happening. You're walking through a bunch of trees, and you're walking on some really harsh terrain. So we're going to make that initial connection here. And then to make sure that we're getting some decent slopes, let's start making our way down very gently. And that's pretty reasonable at 6%. Not perfect, but there's really only so much we can do in this area. For this one, we're going to grab our middle height and we'll pull that all the way through. Then we'll give ourselves a slightly bigger pad. We'll slope up to this top height over here from our bottom height. And now one more time, we're going to slope up to our top height from our bottom height. And honestly, I hate the way this looks. Let's get rid of this surface. And I don't think I should have done that because now it looks way worse. This looks insane. I'm just going to pull some of this terrain over and then just smooth that out a little bit. Okay, that's a bit better. I think what we really need to do is add in some type of net lane over this. And I'm just going to go with this basic pedestrian path. I feel like that's going to really make this area look a lot nicer. And that is just such a massive improvement. Although I'm starting to feel really bad because it seems like there's people who are waiting here with their dogs, with their kids, 24 passengers waiting, and I've got bad news for them. The tram is never coming. Let's actually change the name of this. We'll call it line number 2. And for now, I'm just going to call it Lake Street. I'm sure that won't make sense in like 15 minutes when the name changes. I'm going to drop the ticket price down to $1. And I guess let's just say we'll assign 3 vehicles. We're almost ready to get our tram depot in. Before that though, I want to grab these double tram tracks. And it's funny, the one time you want this menu to stay open, it decides to close. Now what I want to do is add in one more line. And this line is primarily going to follow alongside this road. Then it's going to loop around here. We'll want to make sure we're making a stop at our high density buildings. And then the best place to loop around in this area is probably going to be all of this Netherlands development right here. If I had to guess, this is the densest area in Lithia Sands. Now we're going to make one stop right here, and then we'll make another stop in our loop over here. Now with this line set up, let's add in 2 more stops. So we're going to have one in front of our high density right here. We'll make sure we have stops on both sides. And then let's have one more stop in front of our high school. I think that's going to be pretty important. And the good news is we already have a bus stop here too, maximizing our transfer opportunities. We'll make our tram stop down here. Now we don't have a way to access this road, so we need to add in tram tracks. And I think this is a good time to figure out where the tram depot is going to go. Just by looking at all of our routes, I feel like the best spot is going to be somewhere in this vicinity, because then we can connect directly into this road, and then this road can distribute all of the trams. So let's upgrade this road to have our double tram tracks as well. And really what I want to do is tunnel underneath our tracks. So what's our height difference look like here? We have 548 and then 553. That's not exactly ideal for a tunnel. We're going to have to make it work though. So let's start by upgrading our tracks. That way we can get rid of the key wall. And now we're going to take a 2-lane road and we're going to drop this down, let's say 10 meters. Does that give us a bridge? Nope, apparently 10 meters still isn't good enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten out this entire section right here. And now let's keep dropping this down until we see this right here. This should give us a bridge. And I want to try and align it with this road. And with a little bit of luck, we can just curve directly into this road. Now we're just going to do the same thing over here. Let's give this bottom section a gentle kiss with the level terrain tool. Now let's slope up. And that's looking really good. Let's do the same thing on this side. And we have some floating trees, so I'm just going to remove them for the time being. But that is looking pretty much perfect. Let's upgrade the road to have our double tram tracks on it. And now we're ready to grab our tram depot and place it in. I'm going to have it face towards Pearl Street, but I'm not going to place it on Pearl Street, so we're going to have a little bit of setback. Now I really don't know where this road is going or what's going to happen here in the future. For the meantime, I'm going to send this down, and now we're going to follow alongside this tile's edge. We'll add in a 2-lane right alongside this building, and we'll get that connected directly into this road. Now I want to use our tram track and create more of a direct connection. And that's because I don't want the tram to have to share the road with the cars. So we'll keep the main tracks here, but we'll also add in a movement where it can just directly loop around. That way it can skip all the car traffic. Now I want to see if I can make these curves just a bit more gentle without breaking anything. And I genuinely can't say if I made things better or worse, but it feels slightly better. Now before we leave this area, let's make sure we add on our tram depot upgrade. It's only going to give us 5 extra vehicles, which means the total capacity for this building is 15 vehicles. I can imagine with our routes right now, we're going to max this out really quickly, but we'll deal with that problem when it comes. For now, I just remembered that I didn't add something in, and that's this movement right here across this pedestrian road. That way the tram can loop around. And it looks like I also forgot to name tram line 3. We'll call it line number 3, Gov to Sands, which is essentially all the government buildings over here to Lithia Sands. And I really wanted to add more tram movements that head down instead of left and right, but I just can't see it making any sense in my mind. And that's because our grid is very wide, but it's not very tall. So if we developed up to right about here, I could definitely see it making sense. We could have them run down one of these roads, loop around, go all the way back up, and then repeat. So this is going to have to become a very big priority soon. There is one thing that I think we can add though, and if we take our bus line and we grab onto any one of these stations, we'll leave right from the station, we'll follow alongside this middle road, we'll turn left here. This is going to provide us a transfer opportunity with our tram, but the main purpose of this route is to give access to the hospital. So we'll loop around here, follow back up, and then just do the exact same route. We're going to call this line number 16, station to hospital. We'll drop our ticket price down to $2, and we're only going to assign 2 vehicles for now. And we'll make this a red color for the hospital. For Lake Street, let's make this one blue. And then for Gov to Sands, let's make this one kind of a yellow color. Make sure we drop the ticket price down to 2 for this one as well. And before I forget, let's add in our bus stop shelters for line number 16. So when it leaves the station, we want to add 1 stop right here. Then of course, we definitely have to make a stop at our elementary school. A stop here for our transfer opportunity. And last but not least, our stop for our hospital. Okay, now I'm really excited to see how all of our numbers will play out once we've let some time simulate. Of course, we are missing one big thing, and that's our zoning in these blocks and our zoning all alongside the street. If we didn't add in zoning down here, this entire line would pretty much be a waste. Before we can do any of that, though, we need to start splitting some of these blocks up. Otherwise, they're going to end up really long and really oddly shaped. And I'm about to get off topic for a second because I just realized something. I'm seeing all of these cars park on Pearl Street, but no cars park over here. And that's because I made an absolute blunder. I added grass and trees to all of these roads, which means no one can park here. And I don't think that's very realistic. Let's get that fixed. There we go. That's much better. What I was saying before is that we need to extend some of these roads down, and there really isn't going to be a rhyme or reason for this. I'm just going to pull down whatever ones that I like. Now, unlike last episode, I have a really good feeling about zoning this time, and that's because most of it is nice and controlled. It should all be very simple. Right here, let's go with some North American low-density waterfront business. And of course, we have no commercial demand, and that's because we have a negative modifier for local demand. And you know what? It's fine. We have a tram station right here anyways. Let's just get in some residential. So really what I'm thinking is that we don't want this to be too tall. This should feel fairly intimate, but also at the same time, we have amazing transit access right near this area, so I can see the land prices being pretty high. And let's start with some southwestern residential. And then for this section right here, we want to make sure that our government buildings still feel really big and grand. So we're going to go with level 2. And really, we're just going to keep these fairly small. We still don't have any commercial demand. In fact, we don't even have office demand. And office just seems to be a case of unoccupied buildings, which means we're probably going to have to go and do a bit of cleaning to fix this. Either way, I'm just going to go with a mix of some smaller southwestern residential and maybe some northeastern. And then right by our tram station, I think we should probably just have some parks. So I'm going to grab this large playground and spin it around. That way it's not fronting any road. We'll get that placed in just like that, but we'll leave a little bit of room. If we ever need to upgrade this road, we'll be able to. Now let's grab a pedestrian road and we're going to snap directly from the front of this into the building. And these lights are honestly obnoxious. Right in front of the station itself, let's toss down some of these smaller parks. And for now, I'm going to delete their surfaces. I'll come back and fix this during detailing. And it may not matter because the assets seem to be disappearing. Hopefully they stay there like that. Alongside here, let's just get a few seating spots. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Now for these two lots right here, we're just going to replicate the exact same density and building style. Now in these two lots, I'd really like to replicate this more modern style, but the best way to do that is to have commercial demand, and I can see it slowly creeping up, and it seems like at most, we can get about 2 units deep for our commercial. There isn't any zoning available for 3 deep. Now I'm going to try and stimulate some demand. We're going to drop commercial tax to 7%, and I really like how this feels. It's really not too tall or overpowering, but it still feels very dense and appropriate for all of the transportation that we have available. We're back to having no commercial demand again. So this time we're going to place some Netherlands assets here, and we should be able to go 3 deep. And that fit just like a glove. What I'd like to do is change the color of these. So we're just going to make them a deeper shade of red. Again, as we get in front of this tram station, let's throw down some of these parks. And I think this is going to end up looking really nice once we get to detailing. For the rest of the zoning alongside our trams, we're mostly just going to go with the exact same style that we've already done. We're just going to replicate it. And that's because without any commercial or even office demand, there's not much variation we can have. Although I do see this ambulance, and I'm wondering if this is in a district. It is not. Let's get that fixed first. Now I'm just going to go through and zone everything in alongside our tram tracks. Okay, most of it's done. What I want to do is make a little bit of a park here, just because it's been a while since we've had a park. I think these two are the only ones that are going to fit. And now let's just get these connected in. And in the middle, let's have some of these urban pocket parks. And then during detailing, we'll get this all cleaned up. I'm worried about that tornado. I'm wondering where it is. Okay, it's all the way down there. We don't got to worry. Now right here, let's just get some more apartments because it's extremely close to our transit. And then right here, we're not going to have anything. And that is one insane looking bus stop. Let's see if we can figure this out. So the Walnut Circulator has 108% usage, currently has 4 to 7 vehicles. Let's throw 2 more on here. I'm definitely happy to see that it's working really well. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plots left to zone. And then this is when we're going to step up our density. And it's funny, these buildings look tiny compared to this thing. I think we're going to have some really big buildings in here. I just don't see this looking good any other way. Let's throw one of these big southwesterns right here. Also just clean up some of these trees so we can actually see what we're doing. Now let's scoot the skyscraper over just a tiny bit. And that's because I want to get some parking in here. So the building comes with what seems like a parking garage, but it doesn't have any associated parking with it. And that's fine because we can use this underground parking block to force it. So we need to unlock underground parking building. And it's right here, it costs 4 points. That leaves us with 29. Now we're going to place that directly into the garage. And it comes with 100 vehicles. This has 586 residents. I think 100's fine. We just need to grab this invisible road path, snap onto it, and then make the janky connection that we're just going to ignore. There we go. Now it's even easier to ignore. And I think because we're making all of this dense, let's add on the elementary school upgrade. And we're going to set this to only operate in these 2 districts. Now in this slot, we need to start scaling up our density. Otherwise, it's going to feel way out of place. So I want something taller than this building, but shorter than this one. I'm going to upgrade this road to have parking because right now this road is feeling just a bit too small. Now we have all of this space in the middle, and we're just going to continue this pedestrian road down. And then we'll come back during detailing to figure this out. As we get to this next slot, let's start stepping our densities down again. Ideally, I want it to be smaller than this building, but taller than these ones. Now I'm a bit concerned with how much space we're wasting. I do think there should be some form of parking for all of these houses, but I think there's a better way to do it. So first, we're going to snap this to the back of the building, and now we'll swap to an alleyway and get that connected in just like that. And then we should be able to just pull this node back a tiny bit. That way the connection is more smooth. While we're here, we might as well add in this small little park. And again, we'll get all of that stuff polished during detailing. Now that we have that in place, I'm wondering if we can pull out this alleyway, connect into here, and no. I was going to say we could add another set of zoning. You know what? It's fine. Let's add in a small little park right here. And then can we get either a basketball court or a tennis court in here? We can easily fit a basketball court, so let's just put 3 of these in. And then right away, I need to change the surface because it drives me crazy. It kind of makes me feel like I'm looking at a clown. And there we go, that is just so much better. We still have this lot right here. First, we're going to add in this passage park right on the side, just like that. And that'll split this block up. And now let's get a few of these in. I was going to say that this block is horrendously long, but then the train view popped up and I seen the park. And the park is just awful. Let's delete that, and we can just make our own custom park later on. So I'll leave that path as a reminder. Now let's split this block up. And looking at this one too, it seems like it's going to need to be split up. Now I really like how all these buildings turned out, so we're going to do the exact same thing with this lot and this lot. And now I would really love to place in some office, so we're going to have to go and find all of these unoccupied buildings and get rid of them. So the way you do this is by opening up your info view, clicking on office, removing office suitability, getting rid of signature buildings. And now when we zoom out, we should be able to find any of these buildings that are unoccupied. And genuinely, this is much harder than it needs to be. I can't see any of these that are dark enough to be unoccupied. So I have no idea what the game is on about. We really only have 2 office clusters. So let's try and give a tax cut for office as well. Bring that back down to 7% to see if that helps. I think it also makes sense to check our commercial as well. And this building right here is unoccupied. And is there any other ones that stick out just like that one? See these 2 right here? They're both unoccupied. I really don't want to do this, but I don't see another choice. We'll delete those 2 for now. And you can see the commercial demand slowly starts to come back. Now let's see if we can spot a few more. And funny enough, both of our signature buildings are unoccupied. And if I recall correctly, these are both recreation. So we're going to drop our entertainment down to 1%, along with our recreation. Now it's going to take a huge chunk out of our budget, but I'm hoping what happens is these companies will eventually fill in. But as we can see, there's only 4 buildings that are unoccupied, and I don't want to delete any of them. So we're just going to have to live with it for a bit. With our commercial demand in a semi-decent place, I'm just going to go through and place a bunch of office here. Now let's get in a nice big old church, and we're going to use this Gothic Revival church. We're going to slap that down right here, right on the corner. And it seems like we have some crazy terrain things happening. Let's add on a key wall to the side of this road, and then we'll get this all flattened out. And let's set the church to be the same height as this node. And we're going to need an alleyway on the side of this building, and we'll connect that into the road. And then let's get one of these parking lots in here. In fact, we should probably have 2. And on the side, I'm just going to throw down some trees. And the key thing about this is Lithia Bay isn't an old city, so this would have been built fairly recently, and this is the land that was given to them. Now on the other side of the church, we're going to have some type of recreational facility, and I'm thinking that we're going to throw down a community pool right about here. Let's push the train back just a bit further, because I want this to feel like it's a part of the church. And now let's get this connected up. And then last but not least, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 to fill in. We're just going to replicate the exact same style from this area onto those lots. Alright, and there's pretty much all of our zoning done for now. I want to take a quick look and see what our transit looks like. So our terminal to airport route is at 104% usage. Let's throw 2 more vehicles on there. Terminal to main is at 100% usage. And honestly, I'm surprised. It must mean that our airport is doing better than I thought it was. Let's throw 8 vehicles on here. And for our airport ridership, how does that look? So we're hitting about 44% usage. That's not too bad. Station to Sunnydale is at 103%. Let's throw on another 2 vehicles. We have the Outer Brookbank Circulator, which mostly just takes people from this outer side and brings them to the train station. It's at 109%. Let's throw on 8 vehicles total. Okay, I let a bunch of times simulate because I wanted to see how our transit would end up. While doing that, I actually found out something kind of interesting. The lines over here are doing some really weird janky things. And we can see the example right here. In order to board, it does whatever this is, which means this tram stops in the middle in order to wait. What I tried was adding in a stop for the blue route right here, but that didn't do as much as I wanted it to do. I think connecting into here is what broke this. The funny thing is, initially I was going to go completely custom for this, and I feel like I should have. You might be wondering, well, why not just place a new stop right here? or even on the other side. And that's because you can't. For some reason, these don't want to count as tram tracks. Although I did just get an interesting idea. If we delete this piece, really any of these pieces, and re-add them in ourselves, then it'll count as tram tracks. I'm going to try this out. Okay, there's the first one deleted. Actually, I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to break anything. But there we go. Now we have a stop here. So now if we get rid of this one and we add the stop to this, that should fix any weirdness that we have going on. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, and so far our ridership is about 2% on Main Street, 52% on Lake Street, and 0% on Line 3. I've stared at these for quite a while and they all seem to fluctuate. At one point in time, Line 3 was at 100%, and same thing with Main Street. Really, I don't expect Main Street to do too well until the rest of this is filled in. Now this comment right here suggested that we add in a police headquarters and a welfare office, and I definitely agree that makes a lot of sense given that we have the City Hall district. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on this road for now. We're going to grade everything behind it. Then we're going to extend our road network. And now let's flip this building all the way around, and we're going to have it front Cherry Street. Let's get rid of these trees, they're all in my way. And now I'm going to add a retaining wall alongside this road, and then we'll just bring everything up to this height. And I didn't realize this is like a full-on prison. I really do like the basic look of this building, but I don't really want a full-on prison staring directly at our downtown. I think if we're going to do that, we're going to do it right. We're going to put them in Alcatraz right over here in the sea. So I'm going to select a different building this time. And now that we have a fresh reset, I really don't want to wait for all that money to come back. So for the first time ever, I am just going to give myself the money back. And this time, I'm going to pay a bit more attention. So it doesn't seem like we have a prison yard in this one. And I'm going to go with this urban police headquarters. And we're going to center this directly right here. And that actually gives us milestone 16. We are now a thriving metropolis. We unlock a bunch of different skyscrapers. Now we'll send this connection up this hill into the building, and then we need to wrap around. And there we go. Now we have a proper police headquarters. We have the helipad upgrade. It gives us 1 helicopter. Let's add it on. And then this upgrade gives us 20 more patrol cars. This building only has 10. I'm not going to add that one on until we can actually see a need. We will select all of these districts though. Last but not least, for our welfare office, of course it's going right beside our prison. I think for this one we will go with the Eastern European Welfare Office. We'll line it up just like that. And now let's add a church right beside it. And then we just got to make sure everything is connected and functioning. Let's also throw a retaining wall around side the back. And last but not least, let's connect in the path for the church. And now with all of this, we are pretty much done. We're ready to jump into detailing. So for detailing, let's breathe some life into this area. Right now, the tram lines feel very flat. They lack any depth. So I want to help define them. We'll run some hedges all alongside the left and the right, and then we'll turn these tram stations into a place people actually want to wait for a tram, or even just somewhere you can grab food. Now this massive section right here needs a total rework. For now, let's just keep this very simple. I'm mostly just thinking a small walkable park. As we approach the city center, I want to open up the options for walking around. So we'll add in a bunch of paths and really make this area feel like it's alive. Then we have the urban police station, and right now it just feels way too polite. So I want to extend the parking, fill it up with squad cars, and just clean up some of this jank, and then just dirty it up. We'll do something similar with our welfare office. Finally, we have the tram depot, and this is just looking way too clean right now. So really, we're just going to focus on making it dirty, but also I want to add in a different grass surface here to really help split these two parts of the city. So with all of that in mind, let's jump into detailing. And that's going to do it for detailing. I really do love how this turned out. I think it feels really cohesive. We still got to do something with this park, but we'll save that for another time. There is one quick thing that I want to change. So I downloaded these assets from Paradox Mods, and this is by Smileys. It comes with either mixed use or just the residential version. So let's place in some of these just to really help vary everything up a bit. And there we go. It's a small change, but I kind of like it. Now, something I noticed while I was detailing is that this train station was just jam-packed, and yeah, look at it, it's kind of insane. So we have the inter-county transport line. It carries about 2,300 passengers, and it's at 98% usage. If that's the case, I'm just going to throw 7 vehicles on here. We should probably quickly check in on our capacity just to make sure that we have enough trains. And we're cutting it close, but we should be fine for a little bit longer. And then finally, let's just check to see what our tram lines are doing. So we have 12% usage on Main Street, 33% usage on Lake Street, and 11% usage on Gov to Sands. I think this actually reflects a problem that I didn't really realize. This area right here is essentially non-existent. And what I mean by that is these are all static ploppables. And I did put zonable office blocks in here, but I still don't think that's enough to really generate the demand that I'm looking for. And then the next problem is this entire section right here is parking. Now, we need the parking. We can't get rid of it because this is a regional hospital. But I think this line is going to do much better once we achieve 2 things. First, when we expand down to here, and second, once we expand out here a bit. Now, with all of that said, let's jump into a quick before and after. And that's a wrap. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed. Massive shout out to all of our amazing Patreon and YouTube members. Today's shoutouts go to Jake Hill, Gary Key, Deku, and Freya Stark, and to everyone else supporting the channel in any way. Seriously, it's really appreciated. If you want sneak peeks or access to the save files, you can join us over on Patreon or YouTube. If you haven't already, a like, comment, and subscription really go a long way. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.